So before we jump in, here's your playoff scenarios. The Bengals win the AFC North with a win over the Steelers. The Ravens can win the division with a win over Cleveland and a Bengals loss to Pittsburgh. As for the South, the Titans win it with a win over Indianapolis, but Jacksonville can win the division, with a win over Houston and a loss to Tennessee, or they can still make the playoffs with a win over Houston and the Chargers loss. As for the Chargers, they make the playoffs with a win over Kansas City, but a Jacksonville and a Chargers loss means that the Steelers need to beat Cincinnati if they want to make the playoffs. As for Buffalo, they can get the 1 seat with a win over Miami, followed with a Chiefs loss. But as long as Kansas City beats the Chargers or Buffalo loses, they get the 1 seat in the AFC. The NFC, very less complicated. Seattle, all they need to do is just beat Arizona, and they get a playoff spot. But the Lions, if they win and Seattle loses, then they get the 7th seat. For the Giants, if they win and Seattle and the Lions lose, then they get the 7th seat. And then as when it comes to seeding, 49ers, all they need to do is beat the Rams, or Vikings need to lose to the Lions to get the 2 seat. So here we go. What happens in the final week of the NFL season sim? Well, let's jump right into it. Week 18, 2 Saturday games. The Packers beat the Bears 27-11. They sweep Chicago, and that means Chicago gets the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Justin Fields, 177 a pick, had a rushing touchdown. Aaron Rodgers threw for 215, 3 TDs. That was in the first 2.5 quarters. Jordan Love finished the back half of the game off. Romeo Doubs, a good day. Packers, 6th seat in the NFC, clinched at 11-6. But then, Arizona, they play spoiler and beat the Seahawks 27-21, which means the Lions and the Giants still have hope. Geno Smith, 259, 3 TDs and a pick on the game-winning drive. The Cardinals spoil the Seahawks' guaranteed playoff hopes. 289, 2 TDs for Murray, as they will finish 5-12. What a twist on the final game on Saturday. To the Sunday slate, the Ravens 26-7, and they need a Bengals loss to the Steelers to win the division. But for now, they're the 2 seat, so we're going to put them at the 2 seat currently. They could also be the 5 seat if the Bengals win. Lamar, 186, 2 TDs. Baltimore will finish 13-4. Deshaun Watson, 129, 3 picks. A rough day for the Browns, who will finish 6-11 on the season. So for now, Baltimore 2 seat, but not guaranteed. Buffalo, they could have clinched the 1 seat, but the Dolphins spoil their chances at a 1 seat. And Miami is going to the playoffs for the first time in sim history as a 6 seed in the AFC. And Buffalo will be the 3 seed. So they'll meet next week in Wild Card Weekend. Tua threw 3 TDs, but he led 2 big touchdown drives to grab the lead. Josh Allen with a pick late in the game, which pretty much gave the Dolphins the victory. And then this time, Cincinnati, they can't beat Pittsburgh, and the Steelers keep their playoff chances alive. They need a Jags and a Chargers loss to make it. So Cincy will be the 5 seed and played either Tennessee or Jacksonville in the wild card. George Pickens, monster day to help the Steelers get to 9-8. They still have not had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. The Bengals will finish 12-5 and be the 5 seed in the AFC. So Steelers, they need some losses to happen. The Lions, they cannot get the 7th seed, and the Vikings have a shot at the 2 seed. But for now, we'll put them at the 3 seed because San Francisco is playing the Rams. The Lions, unfortunately, their playoff chances have come to an end. Amon-Ra even threw a touchdown in this game. But the Vikings, who only rested Justin Jefferson today, they didn't need him. They still beat the Lions by 6 points and will be 12-5 and will host a playoff game. One of the meaningless playoff games, 17-15, a rainy day in Foxborough. The Patriots sweep the Jets as Mac Jones started today, and he proved that, hey, I'm still should be the starter for the New England Patriots. Hunter Henry had a touchdown. Zach Wilson didn't do too well. Patriots last in the division, but the Jets still 7-10. I mean, it's improvement, but they're going to need a little bit more if they want to be contenders in the AFC. And some people questioning whether or not Zach Wilson is the answer. So Pittsburgh, their chances to make the playoffs are over, and Jacksonville beats Houston on the last-second field goal, 26-24, Now, currently, they lead the South, so we're going to put them at the 4th seat, but they could also be the 7th seat as long as the Chargers lose. So there's still a possibility that Jacksonville makes it as a wild card if they can't win the division. Lawrence a good day. Davis Mills had a decent day. The Texans will have the 2 pick in the NFL draft. And look at this. The Giants were the team to pull it out. They had a 20% chance at even making the playoffs, but they beat the Eagles by 3. They are the 7th seed and will play the 2 seed in the playoffs. Daniel Jones did it. The Eagles backups, they didn't really care, and they still almost beat the Giants. So they'll be the 1 seed. They'll get the bye in the NFC. And how about the Giants going to the playoffs for the first time since 2016 in the season sim? The Buccaneers, they played their starters in the first half against Carolina. Then they put in the second strings 26-16. They beat Carolina. Tom Brady threw for 203 in the first half. Kyle Trask played amazing. 149 through the air. Leonard Fournette had a touchdown. Sam Darnold didn't play too bad either. DJ Moore had a good day. Buccaneers 9-8, worst season of Tom Brady's career. But they'll be the 4th seed and they'll host Dallas in the wild card weekend. Panthers at 5-12. And the Chargers beat the Chiefs backups. They will sweep Kansas City on the season, and they are going to the NFL playoffs as a 7th seed in the AFC. They will play the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card. Kansas City had the 1 seat, so they decided to rest their starters. Justin Herbert didn't play too well, but you know what? The Chargers are playoff bound. They'll head to Baltimore next week. Kansas City will sit out, and they'll get to watch from their couches with a 13-4 record. This game was meaningless, but it had some headlines. Derek Carr, possibly his final game as a Raider, and the Broncos stomp him 40-17. Carr got benched in the 4th quarter. Jarrett Stidham came in, and that could have been it. Derek Carr's final play as a Raider could have been a pick 6. But Russell Wilson, best game as a Bronco. They'll have the 3 pick, which they traded away to Seattle, so technically Seattle will get their 3rd pick. Devontae Adams, good day for the Raiders. And the backups for San Francisco have given them the 2 seat. They'll host the New York Giants in Wild Card Weekend in Santa Clara, California. Trey Lance didn't play good. Matthew Stafford didn't play good at all. He threw for 3 interceptions. The only other quarterback to throw for 3 picks this week was Deshaun Watson. But the defending Super Bowl champions got a lot of work next year if they want to be playoff bound. But their rivals are the 2 seed at 13-4. Unbelievable what the 49ers have done. The Cowboys, they played their starters for a half. They win 23-10 over the Commanders, who were experimenting with Sam Howell this game. Dax actually got an injury in the second quarter with a toe, so he's going to be limping a little bit for the Bucs game. They'll play Tampa Bay. They're the 5 seed. Doesn't say it, but they're the 5 seed. And the Commanders, Sam Howell, he could be the guy. Just no one really knows what the future is in Washington. 201 a TD for Sam Howell, though. Another meaningless game. The Saints beat the Falcons 20-14. If they didn't lose to Tennessee, then you never know. They could have had a chance to win the division. But Andy Dalton, 217 and a touchdown. Desmond Ridder, 183 a TD and a pick. Zacchaeus had a punt return for a touchdown. But it comes down to whether Tennessee can beat Indianapolis and they win the division and make the playoffs. Well, let's find out. Did they? No. They did not. Indianapolis, Nick Foles, and the Colts upset the Titans, and Tennessee misses the playoffs, which means Jacksonville wins the South, 172. Derrick Henry, the King, had a touchdown. But of all people, Nick Foles is the one who spoils the Titans' chances to make the playoffs. One of the craziest Week 18s ever. The Giants somehow make it, and now the Titans had one job to beat Indy, and they can't. So here you go. Kansas City with your bye. Chargers will play the Ravens. Dolphins will have the Bills for a rematch. And the Cat teams will battle in Duval. Cincinnati will take on Jacksonville. Steelers and Titans both miss out. Texans with the 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft at a 3-14 record, bottom of the AFC in 2022. For the NFC, Philly gets the bye at 14-3. The Giants squeak in and will play the 49ers in Santa Clara. The Packers will face with the Vikings for a 3rd time this season. And the Cowboys will face off with the Buccaneers in Tampa. Seahawks had one job, just win. They couldn't do that. It was up to the Lions. They couldn't do it. It was the Giants who got the job done. The Bears will get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This is ASC, signing off.